Day 2 of the ministerial screening and more take-about scenario played out, even though to those who were never lawmakers, it has said the quality of the Buhari's prospective cabinet. And scampering. Fear was the order of the day at the Ondo State House of Assembly after two snakes disrupted the sitting of the lawmakers. And welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm sure Akimalia Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos. Two unwanted guests paid an unusual visit to lawmakers in the Ondo State House of Assembly today, disrupting the legislative sitting and forcing lawmakers to scamper to safety. The first unwanted guest was a snake that dropped from the roof near the seat of the speaker. Not too long afterwards, another snake dropped from the roof near the location of the maze. Channels Television correspondent gathered that the snakes escaped while the lawmakers scampered to safety out of the chambers. After the drama, the Speaker of the House, Bamdele Oloye Logun, expressed his fears on the present condition of the chamber and the entire complex. He explains that the House is suspended sitting on the needed renovations are carried out in the complex. And Progressive Governors Forum has appealed to aggrieved members of the All Progressives Congress APC to shift their swords and consider reconciliation so as to sustain the gains of the party. Director General of the APC Governors Forum, Mr. Salhiu Lukman, who made the appeal during a press briefing in Abuja, says that the APC needs to draw lessons from the internal squabbles that crippled the opposition People's Democratic Party in 2015. Tonight, we will look at the quality, the depth of those President Buhari says will be his ministers. They are going through screening. About 11 or so more of the ministerial nominees were screened today, making about 21 or 22 of them that have been screened in total out of the 43. But before we get started with the conversation, everyone, let's check out some other political stories that are trending on our political roundup.
The hostility between the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshomole, and the governor of Edo State, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, may have simmered as the two shook hands and took a picture at the presidential policy dialogue which took place at the presidential villa in Abuja. Meanwhile, Mr. Obaseki and Mr. Oshomole had been at loggerheads over the inauguration of the Edo State House of Assembly. Senior lawyer, the founder of Afe Babalola University and elder statesman, Chief Afe Babalola, says the change that can transform Nigeria must accommodate restructuring and making politics less attractive, attack poverty, and create room for industrial revolution. The legal icon is disturbed at the debt profile of the country and thinks restructuring will make a lot of difference.
It is essential that when people state to control its population, set internationally acceptable standards for admission to Sharia institutions, and bring back the glory of quality education for our universities.
Former President Dr. Goodluck Jonathan says the brand of politics practiced in Nigeria breeds criminality.
We must make sure we change the way we conduct our elections. We must follow the developed world and bring IT into our electoral processes.
The House of Representatives has given Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State 1 month to issue a fresh proclamation of the State 9th House of Assembly or risk takeover of the business of the House by federal lawmakers. This decision was reached following a report presented to the House by the ad hoc committee which investigated the crisis in the State Assembly. The House condemns the election that led to the emergence of two different speakers of the Bauchi State House of Assembly. The Akwa Ibom State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has commended President Muhammadu Buhari on the appointment of the immediate past governor of Akwa Ibom State, Senator Godswill Akpabio, as a ministerial nominee. The party described the appointment of Senator Akpabio as a reward for hard work. The party believes that Senator Akpabio's performance as the governor of the state for 8 years is a strong indication that he has the capacity to add value to the Buhari administration in its efforts at the country's development. The Akwa Ibom State chapter of the PDP says the nomination of ministers is a prerogative of the president, and he has exercised the same in a manner indicative of the direction and speed which he wants the country to go. A statement by Barrister Ini Ememobong, Publicity Secretary of PDP in the state, says the state chapter of the party aligns with the position of its national headquarters on the development.
Is a two of the screening of ministerial nominees at the Senate. Today's screening started with a former member of the National Assembly, Senator Tayo Alasha from Ondo State, who served as a member of the Senate Committee on Petroleum, highlighting areas of interest, which is a petroleum industry governance bill, was seeking the support of the National Assembly to see that the bill which was passed last time sees the light of day. The Senate President, however, gives some assurances on the former senator's plea. Well, yesterday on the program, we talk about the Senate tradition that makes former members to take a bow and leave without any major questioning from lawmakers. And that is getting a lot of explanation from some senators today. Senator Opemi Bamdele was the one who raised a point of order. Senator Opemi Bamdele is representing Ekiti State in the Senate, and he says that the media has been awash of comments about the tradition, and he wants the perspectives to be well explained to the public. Senator Bamdele says the reason for such action is because the Assembly already has knowledgeable information about them, and the Senate President also supported his colleague, saying the tradition will be sustained. Take a listen to him.
Mr. Chairman, they need to know that former legislators who served in the National Assembly are subjected to the same level of screening. What we have done since yesterday was to screen. Nobody has been confirmed, Mr. Chairman. They will submit their credentials like every other person. After listening to them, the senators also go back to study those credentials. The essence of this is just for us to establish that they are who they claim to be in their documentation.
We have explained this remains the position of this Senate, like the previous sessions of the Senate. We are not covering anyone by so doing. We are still going to scrutinize the submissions by those nominees. And of course, if there is anything that disqualifies a nominee, the fact that the nominee passed through the National Assembly chambers does not protect that nominee from being disqualified.
So let's get talking. Another perspective to all of these is how much of women are in, how many women are in the cabinet, prospective cabinet that is, and also how many youth are there in that cabinet. The question is, how many? And the answer is, there is no youth, well, within the age bracket of youth that the United Nations approves of is on that cabinet. That also gets our attention. We'll be dissecting the quality of the conversation that is being engaged in this screening process. Well, a lot of the conversation has been take a bow and go, but a few of them also answer questions. They made their position known on some national issues. Let me get my first guest on the program talking tonight. I have Samson Itodo. He's a co-convener of the Not Too Young to Run movement. He joins us from Rwanda. Thank you so much, Samson, for coming on the program tonight. And also we have Alhaji Yabagi Sani. He's a national chairman of the ADP and a presidential candidate of the ADP. Let me quickly get out on what, well, if you look at that graphic, will show you on the youth representation, in 2011, is 1 out of 42 ministers, that is Nuruddin Muhammad at the time, who was 33 years of age. And in 2015, there is no one in the cabinet that is less than 35 years of age or 35. In 2019, this president won, no one. So President Buhari has not had any person, any young person below the age or at the age of 35 in his cabinet in the first and second one. What about women representation in all of this? We have 12 women out of 42 in 2011 in Jonathan's cabinet. In 2015, President Buhari had 6 out of 35 ministers. In 2019, he added only 1. Well, the proportion, in fact, the percentage has even dropped because 6 out of 35 in 2015, but this time around is 7 out of 43 ministers. Samson, what is happening?
Well, Shenwa, I'm also asking myself that question, what is happening? Because the president and the APC did promise women representation, increased youth representation in this administration. But it's obvious that the president perhaps does not know a young person under the age of 35 to appoint as or even more women. And the president and the APC administration have actually lost an opportunity to keep their promise articulated or highlighted in the next level document. And this is really disappointing because if you look at the vast majority of the voters that participated in the 2019 elections and voted massively for this government, a lot of them were women, they were young people, but it's quite acceptable that we got a ministerial list of 43 and only 7 women could make it out of the number of women who have capacity, who have the character, and who have the competence to actually provide leadership. For young people, this is really disappointing. It clearly shows that the president is not interested or does not have faith in young people. And this is against the spirit of the Not Too Young to Run legislation, which the president actually signed. And I recall vividly when the president was signing the Not Too Young to Run legislation, he did mention the contributions that young people have made in our democratic process. And to release a list without any young person is very, very disturbing. We are going to have a cabinet that will be dominated by men, and not just men, but old men. And so where will be the voice of young people or the voice of fresh ideas in the federal cabinet? What about women as well? And so for a country with a large population of women and young people, this is really disappointing, and the president has lost an opportunity to make do or show faith with the promise that he made to young people, as well as the APC in the document it released in the build-up to the elections, the next level roadmap that underscores the value of inclusion in government.
Let me bring Alhaji Yabagi Sani into the conversation. Alhaji Yabagi Sani, are you impressed with the level of conversation that we have seen so far? Only a few of them spoke today about what they want. The former Minister of Finance, also a director in NCC, Sunday Dare, just a few of them who really answered questions today. Yesterday also, similar thing happened. A lot of them just took a bow and they left the chambers. Are you impressed so far?
Well, Sean, the fact of the matter is that from the list itself, if you look at the composition of the list, it says that the electorate does not matter at all, which means that the elections in this country is not about the electorates. If you look at the statistics brought out by INEC before the 2019 elections, it shows that women and the youth constitute over 60% of the voting population. And for a government to now come out and not feature, the youth and the women on their list, it shows that the elections in this country are just something that we do as a matter of the requirement of the Constitution, but it isn't that the vote really counts. So again, if you look at the procedure or the manner by which the screening was conducted, it also tells you that it is not about merit. It's not about qualification. It's not about competence. It's not about delivery, which is what is required of. We talk about delivery of, dividends of democracy. I had expected that the president will rise, above these narratives whereby you just send people's names to the National Assembly without the portfolio, which the person is going to be assessed. Because, okay, what do you expect the National Assembly to do?
Let me pause you for a minute. Apologies. Let me butt in quickly. I wanted to pause you, and we'll go on break. We'll look at the implications of what is happening in the national perspective of the issues in the land, security, the economy, and the engagement in the National Assembly with some of these candidates. 17% of the youth, the women population in the cabinet, and 16% this time around. What do you make of it? We'll continue the conversation after this break, everyone. Jonathan. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's continue with the conversation on the quality and the depth of the people that will be in President Buhari's cabinet. They are undergoing screening. About 21 or 22 of them have so far been screened. If you add the total of 10 and about 11 or 12 that have been screened today, that gives you about 21 or 22. But in all of the people that the president has put together, it's only 16.28% of them that are women. 6 out of 35, 7 out of 43. In 2015, the president had 6 out of 35 ministers that are women, compared to 12 out of 42 in 2011. If you look at the representation of youth in the federal cabinet, it is by percentage 0. That means none of them are in between the age of perhaps 18 and 35. So that is what we're analyzing tonight on the program. Sani is a former presidential candidate of the ADP and the party's national chairman. Mr. Samson Itodo is also a guest. He's on Skype with us from Rwanda, and he's been talking about, because his group, the Not Too Young to Run group, they are in the forefront of fighting for this. I will come to you. There are some interesting scenarios playing out in world politics. Whether or not youth have a place in world politics, if you look at the federal cabinet under former President Obama in the United States, the least age there of a cabinet member was 44. Most of them are in their 60s. But let me allow Alaji Sani to quickly come in here with what we are seeing today. How experience and the issue of, because a lot of them are former senators, a lot of them are former governors, and a lot of them are lawyers. So which one do you buy? Agility as against experience?
Well, in today's 21st century, especially Nigeria's 21st century economy, you need somebody who has the experience, who has the expertise and the agility. And I believe Nigeria is, we have such people abound, wherever you look at. What we are talking about is how to carry the nation, along, so that you will have effective engagement of the people of the country in the governance, of the economy. I mean, the running of the economy. The economy is very important, and this economy requires people with expertise. It requires people that of this time, people who can connect with each other, who are I'm talking about people who we call the information age, people that can easily, at a speed that is required today in the global trend. So this is why people are talking about the youth. The youth everywhere in the world, are the promise of the future. They are the ones that can turn things around. They are the ones that can stay, burn the midnight oil, like we said, and then be able to turn, because this economy requires more engagement. It requires expertise. It requires the technical know-how. And I'm not in any way underrating the people that Mr. President has put forward as his ministers. Most of them, yes, in their chosen field, they have given a good account of themselves. But again, also, you have people that have issues with EFCC, with their governance, with the performance, in the past. Like, why are we where we are today? If those who were at the helms of affairs in the various ministries had performed, creditably, we wouldn't have the level of poverty we have, insecurity we have, and all the challenges we are having today. We had expected that Mr. President, in choosing his cabinets, would have engaged widely, would have also come up with these people that are going to be screened by the National Assembly. Who are they? What is their track record? Where do you want to put it? That's why people are asking for the portfolio. So that in other countries, when you are sending ministers, you tell them that this is where this person is going to serve. Then you can be able to ask for things like key performance indicators, KPIs. In the past administration, we didn't see anything like that. Nobody was queried. Nobody was moved from one ministry to the other. Nobody was sacked in terms of the cabinet,
Sani, just for a moment again. Let me pause you and quickly, sorry, let me pause you for a moment. And I will allow you to give your final thoughts on the program on some issues, because if you mention some people like Sunday Dare, Babatunde Fashola, Goswe Akpabio, Festus Keyamo, these are some of the people, the characters who are going to be in this cabinet. But we look at the future for this country with that cabinet and the task ahead. But Mr. Itodo, I mentioned to you in Obama's cabinet, and in fact, presently, right now, you find in most part of the world that people who are in cabinet, who are in authorities, are people above 40. Is it that young people are irrelevant or they're not being given that opportunity? For example, in Obama cabinet, the least age that you find there is 44.
Well, Sean, that's Obama's cabinet. But let's even look at Africa. Today in Botswana, we've got a minister of investment who is under 30. Across different countries in Africa, we have ministers who are actually under 30s. Today in Nigeria, we've got speakers of State House of Assemblies who are under 30s. If you check even at the state level, we have governors like Governor Nasir El-Rufai, who has a cabinet dominated by young people. They are also governor of Cross River and Co, who have nominated, appointed young people to hold cabinet positions. The point must be made that we've got young people who have the agility, who have the experience, and that should be in leadership position. But we just have a ruling political class that is not interested in whether intergenerational dialogue or harnessing the potentials of these young people. Sometimes we come to public leadership with this paradigm that it is the exclusive preserve of a category of people. And that is not the case. Looking at the problems and the governance challenges that Nigeria encounters today, we're dealing with insecurity, look at the economy, dealing with issues relating to corruption. There are young people in this country today who can hold those positions, and the president is expected to appoint those people. But I must make the point, Sheon, that for us at the Not Too Young to Run movement, we've expressed our disappointment, and we hope that the president will make do his promise by ensuring inclusive governance as he continues with the other rounds of appointments.
All right, we need to go now, but we have just 30 seconds to go. Alhaji Sani, and I'll allow you to give us your concluding thoughts on the program in 30 seconds. The bow and go syndrome, we couldn't even engage most of them on the floor to them. The senators couldn't, because a lot of them just bowed and go. What are your thoughts about the future of this country and the capability of those in cabinet? In 30 seconds, please.
Promise of greatness. But again, what it matters, the people that are the helms of affairs in the various ministries. This is why some of us are calling on Mr. President to please take a second look at what he has done. It is not that he cannot change people. We have observed that women are very important. Youth are very important. The future must be guaranteed. You must now be able to trust, the young ones who will take over from the old ones that are there today. So we are calling on Mr. President that time has come for him to have that confidence, in the people that represent the future of this country. That's all we're talking about. All over the world, that is what is done. Youth are being given positions that have implementation.
Time is gone. We are out of time. Alhaji Sani, and I must sincerely thank you, Mr. Samson Itodo. Thank you so much for your thoughts on the program. That's the bit that we can serve tonight on the program. Many thanks for watching, everyone. Wherever you may be watching, thank you so much. And the eyes have it. That is the end of the proceeding tonight on Politics Today, back on Channels Television. The eyes have it. I'm sure Kimale, everyone. Bye-bye.